Okay, good morning, everyone. Cameras on, please. There you are, Ben. Good morning, everyone.
Who's on? Hello, Zelly. Leaders on. Harry's on.
Did I? I heard it.
Evening, Brendan.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Adam, please?
How do I get my photo up?
Sorry, guys. Roads around? Roads around, Harry? No. Yep. Yep.
You know, Brian Shanley's ill.
Who?
Brian Shanley.
So just put yours on mute.
Can we mute Zelly, please? We'll get Jake. Can you mute Zell, please? Oh, Rhodes is there. Beautiful. Okay, cool. All righty. So first, apologies, Kylie Walsh has got sick. There's pretty bad flu going around. I think some of you already had it. So I've got a little bit to say, but before we do that, I'm going to interview a couple of you because a couple of you have done a little bit of training outside of the group. So we're going to share. So you'll go next. Greg Bates, come on up. Hi, Greg.
Hey, DG.
How are you?
Good.
Mr. Bates. Let's talk about Kylie Walsh's. What are a couple of things you got out of that?
For me personally, it was I sort of spoke to some of the guys at the last sales meeting, but I got a fair bit out of it because I was a bit worn out and I needed a different change of environment.
Yeah.
So going out there for 3 days was just exactly what I needed. So, but what it was doing was it was talking not just about, it was about leadership, and you work from within as well, which I think helped me big time.
Can I just jump on that leadership? I just want to, that leadership thing, guys. I think often we think of leadership and we think of the boss or we think of the salesman. Leadership comes from within, comes from every single one of you. Like I always say, like no one invented Richard Branson, you know what I mean? He outperformed any boss, any manager, any other owner, you know what I mean? Leadership's about what you guys have got. Don't wait for someone else. You know, move through the ranks. Does that make sense? Cool. Yeah.
And also it started to work on a bit of your operational systems within the business. And I actually wrote a heap of notes and there was some stuff that I implemented straight away. I worked out that, you know, I've got Rosie really focusing on buyer activity. And I think in this marketplace at the moment, that's what we've really got to build those relationships with buyers. And what I was doing was I was getting Rosie to make the phone calls on a Monday from all the people that we've met at the open homes. But really at the end of the day, I should be making that first call because I felt there was some leakage coming out of that. Plus also it gave me more intel into what the buyers were saying about the properties as well, which helped me when I was.
So I'm going to pull that apart a bit. So I reckon you need to call the hot buyers. I think we need to start working out what buyers we've got. Yeah. So through that open house, for you to go and call 20 or 30 when you're the main lister, I don't know if that's as productive as possible. But the hot ones, and you all know a hot buyer. What does a hot buyer look like when they go through other than look good looking? What does a hot buyer normally do different to another buyer? We may occasionally get tricked, yeah? Occasionally, but very rarely do we get a call on Monday from a buyer that we didn't know liked the property. True?
Not refuse a contract or a best bill.
Yep. But even before that, what about the way they act? Their body language. Yeah? When a buyer walks through the property that's a buyer, do they walk through differently than a looker? Yeah. So they're the buyers I'd be highlighting in the open and say, I'll do those. But the neighbours and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but Dave, what I was getting out of it too was the questions weren't being asked whether they had something to sell as well.
So that's not necessarily on you, that's them working with your team to work on dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't want to miss any opportunities. So I thought, well, it prompts me to make ask those questions. And then what I was doing out of each phone call session was then highlighting those hot buyers and giving those to Rosie to work with closely. The other thing that I worked out was if we're going to have relationships with these buyers, Rosie's got to know her stuff inside out in regards to the properties that we're selling. So what I've done now is I've changed Lauren from not doing the photo shoots and the SWATs, I call it a SWAT. I've got Rosie going to do those now. One, that gives her more rapport with the vendor as well.
Yeah.
And two, she knows her product inside out. So when she's talking to these hot buyers, she can talk with passion about these properties and book those private inspections.
Cool.
So they were some of the things that I got out of it, but there's some other things that I'm going to implement as well. You've got to know your numbers. That's the big thing I got out of it. I thought I know my numbers reasonably well and I track it pretty well, but I've got to get better at that as
So
well.
what numbers do you want to track?
Well, my list to sell ratio, you know, I don't know what that is at this point in time. Like I do a shitload of appraisals, but you know,
So on that list to sell ratio, and I only think you should rate yourself on what goes to market. Yeah. So a lot of people do list to ratio off your MAs. That's going to be so. It's only what then goes to the market. That's really your list to ratio. If it's still sitting not on the market, you haven't lost it. It's still sitting there. So your list to sell ratio. If you do 20 MAs, only 2 go to market, and you get 2, you got 100%. Make sense?
yeah. The other things was immediacy. You know, in this marketplace at the moment, it's all about the speed of the reply as well. So I'm trying to set KPIs there with the other guys that are in my team about getting back to buyers and to vendors, because I think speed's everything now. That's going to set you apart from your competitors as well.
I mean, how many times like I've been on holidays or something and half looked at something and then not got a call and just forget about it. But I can say in that moment, if they had called me and got me excited, like momentum isn't crazy. Crazy when it goes into the sale process. Well, I think that one of the big things I got out of that is Greg's gone on the course and he's actually already starting to implement something. Still got a long way to go. But what I would then now do is, and I just did a thing with the holidays and broke it up. And I didn't just say everything needs to be done now. Some was August, some was September, some was even November, some was even next year. And I think what happens is we do a lot of overwhelm, we get a lot of stuff, but project manage your business. And today I'll talk to the guys on the dialogue call about sharpening the sword. But you don't just do it tomorrow. It's like, what are we doing long term to get better? And you can go on a course like that. There's good and bad in going to courses like that. Is that sometimes you do a course like that and you think, oh, I'm terrible or I'm not doing enough. But you are still doing so many good things, but just break it down. Because if you try and do it next week, it doesn't happen. But if you can break it down over 3 months, and like I used to always say, especially the leadership team, I don't want a 10% better business tomorrow. Just a 1% tomorrow, then even another 1%, or even 1% a week, depending where you're at. Because over time you want to go good, but if you try and jump too fast, you miss it. Make sense? Cool. Thank you, Greg.
No worries.
Look forward to the progress. So what I'd love to see, Greg, is actually your 3-month plan on that, not your 1 week plan, your 3-month plan. Because guess what? Greg's still got a list. And then I see so many people then go on a course like that and then spend the next month implementing everything. But then they lose their month, then they lose their momentum. So it's getting that balancing act between sharpening the sword and keeping momentum. Yeah, Al. Yeah. Who have you been hanging out with?
Oh, I've been hanging out with Carolyn Balderston.
Carolyn Balderston. A lot of you would have met Carolyn Balderston. Yeah. She was a leading agent in her own right, and now a trainer. I think it's always great when you go to a trainer that's actually been a lead agent. So many of our trainers out there at the moment have never actually been a lead agent. So I reckon it's a different skill set that they pass on. Cool. What are you learning off her?
So far I've done 2 masterclasses with her, which were 2 hours over 3 separate days. So I did this, the listing. So what really resonated with me from the listing perspective was really just sharpening like you said, sharpening your sword around my listing presentation. One of the things that she's which has made such a difference in the way I now handle a listing appointment is what she calls the UQT, the unique questioning technique. And it's prompted me to listen more, to understand and asking questions to stand out from the other agent, because it's not unusual to have a seller judge you and say, well, you look at all agents and they all seem the same, so they'll go for the one with the less marketing or the less commission.
Yeah.
What I've learned is through this UQT or the questioning technique is to really listen to understand and set myself apart from the competitors, because essentially we could all come across the same.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in a couple of weeks, why don't we get some of those questions down on paper and then we can share them amongst the team. Thing with, have you ever been asked a good question? All right. So the person asks you a good question, you stumble, but then you respect them more because it makes you think. So when someone asks you a good question, you have to think, you're like, wow, one, I should know that answer, but two, how much smarter is that person that asked me that good question? Makes
And I
sense?
think with the questioning too, it's about drilling down. So it's not just asking one question and another and a string of questions one after the other. It's asking, listening, understanding, and then seeing what more you can pull from that one question to then offer a solution around how you're going to maximize their price and get a great result. So it's sort of layered.
I think the thing with questioning, and a lot of people learn dialogue around questioning, is then it's like being like an interview. If I get asked 2 or 3 quick questions in a row, I clam up because I'm like, I'm not here to be fucking interviewed by you, mate. Like, you know what I mean? So I think your questions also need to be conversational.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There need to be a question where you don't even realize where they're going down. You know what I mean? Like if you walk into an open house and one of the first questions, oh, have you seen anything you like recently? Oh, have you missed out on anything? You're like, you know what they're doing. You know what I mean? How's your Saturday? Oh, the sun's out. Did you even go out last weekend in that weather? No, I didn't. Blah, blah, blah. You know, oh, it's for, you know, it's a conversation is where you're going to build that rapport.
Some other stuff I've done, like Greg was saying about knowing your numbers. She's got some great templates and lots of amazing resources, but the business plan, so knowing how many, based on my numbers and my metrics, knowing how many listings or properties I need to have in my pipeline at any one time to then obviously convert to live listing. So there's just so much. There's been so much in it. No, I'm only 3 months in. It's a 6-month program.
All right. So what I'm going to ask is, anyone's got any forms that they work on, and I'll get Jake to follow this up. Any forms that you guys currently work on at the moment? So speaking to Lee Woodward the other day, I got sort of called out. I challenged myself, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I just let the guys do what they want. Or like, I'll let them do a bit of Lee Woodward, or I'll let them do a bit of Josh Fegan, or I'll let them use that form, or I'll let them use that dialogue. And I like that openness to a certain point. But I really think so. One of Jake and Tash in that new role is between now and the end of the year is a lifestyle group template.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that openness was cool, but I think now let's just narrow it down. You know, there might be an A or a B, but let's actually get our own system procedure that we all sort of run at. This is how our open inspections are. This is our little questions of it. This is how we do a follow-up call. This is how we actually do it. And we'll take the best out of all of those guys, constantly look to refresh it, but let's bring the same forms and templates. I think that's going to be the power of the group, because I think the openness is nice, but I think it's about time we put our own touch on it. Thoughts on that? We like that?
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, that's rolled out. Yeah. Cool. All right. We got Stuart there. You on your phone there, buddy? Can you hear me or?
Got ya. Yep. How are you, mate?
Hey, what'd you get out of Coles, mate?
Well, as you know, I've sort of had plenty going on, and for me, it was the big thing for me was about committing. Am I in it for the long haul, or where are we sitting with what we're going to do? And I sort of sat back and reflected on where we're at, and then how do you take that to the next level? Jake was awesome with having a chat about direction and things like that, and teams and what you actually need. So, Susie and I are sort of talking about where we're at with things, and sort of trying to make a plan from there. But also looking back and reflecting on what you've actually achieved in the last year.
Yeah.
I think everyone should look back and see what they've done. I think everyone's had an amazing year, and really give yourself a pat on the back on what you've done as well, because it's been like we've all been busy, but it's been challenging. We've all worked so hard, and you've got to reward yourself a little bit too, which I'm really bad at.
Well, I think everyone's forgotten how to take a holiday. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, my holiday was great overseas, but so many people have commented. I think because I was probably one of the first people to go overseas. Like we've all just forgotten, but pretty sure the borders are open, guys. You can go.
Yeah.
But we've fallen out of that habit, haven't we?
that's it. We sort of get caught up in work, and you're always busy. Well, like everyone's always busy, but you don't want to let anyone down. There's always an opportunity. But it's pretty hard to take those opportunities when you're dead, So you need to sort of stop and reflect and look forward as well.
Yeah.
With a long-term plan, I think.
And I know I never used to take holidays because I felt guilty that I hadn't done enough. But
Yeah.
I really hadn't done enough, you know what I mean? And you talk about commitment. I hadn't really committed. I'd half in, half out, thought I'd lose momentum. I was scared. But if you look at the leading riders around the country, they take holidays because they've left nothing unturned. For that 10 weeks that they're around, they go, they work,
Yeah.
they do what they need to do. Now they're 7 to 7. We don't need to do 7 to 7 here. You guys do 8 to 5 or freaking 9 to 6, or you do 7 to 4, but you just do a good solid day of 8 hours. And I've always said, that's enough on the mid-north coast to then have the life you have. But you've got to commit in that period between holidays. And I think the reason why we don't, is that we're scared of that. And also, it's even deeper than that. I won't go into, but around worthiness and all that sort of stuff. But you just got to set it. And that's when you do the one-on-ones with Jake, you plan it. And that's where your reward is. Okay, Jake, I'm gonna commit to this for the next blah, blah, blah. And if I do that, I'm gonna book that. If I do really good, I'll go to freaking, if I don't do that good, I'll go to Gold Coast. If I do pretty good, I'll go to Bali. And if not, I'll go to America, whatever it is. But reward, yeah. And anything from a skill set point of view that you would have learned there?
I think, there's all this technology and there's all those sorts of things out there, and we all try to adapt everything. Like you try and grab everything. But for me, it was looking back at basics and what's always worked for me, and then just trying to bring in a few little things to adapt and just excel at those things rather than trying to, do everything, because you can't be an expert at everything.
Yeah.
And I look at, and the big thing I probably noticed, and Greg and I probably spoke about it, was if you look at these guys that are, they're writing big numbers, they might be writing, $1.5, $2 million, but they've got 5 and 6 people in their team. Like there's a full orchestra there.
Yeah.
We as a group write some great numbers and work together really well, and got good support from your team. But at the end of the day, there's lots of 1s and 2s in a group that are doing some amazing numbers. So don't get dazzled by all those people, the $1 million riders or whatever it is, because they've got a lot of people that work for them to get to that point. They might be the face of it, but give yourself some credit as well.
And I think on that, mate, and everyone that I've sat down with, we're not trying to turn you into $1 million riders.
No,
it's
but
really
give yourself a lifestyle.
what you want to write.
Correct.
What you want to write. If you write $500,000 and you run your own EBU or your own business, 500 gives you the one of the best lives on the mid-north coast at 500.
For sure.
And everyone in this room is capable of writing 500. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone in this room is capable of writing 500 on your own. And then if you write 750 with a helper, then you're getting them to do some of the stuff you don't want to do. If you want to write 1.5 with 3 of you, you're going to write 1.5, 3 of you and still have a life. But they're your figures. And I think that's the exciting thing about this group. I went and met a franchise group last weekend down in Melbourne, and one of the guys, Dave Walker, Dave Walker was into me. He's like, oh, mate, the competition and this and that, and write more. I said, mate, it's not about that in our group. I'm not even getting caught up into that ego. We'll do our bit and do it better and sharpen. I'm more passionate about sharpening the sword and do it better and do it easier, not how big the numbers we can do. And everyone saw my face at Elders. The only time I got up and excited was when I was hugging any of you guys that were in amazing numbers. I didn't get that excited when I went up and won #1 Elders Award. Didn't give a shit. Honestly, didn't care. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But now longevity now, and it's different. That's why it's a different race. For people that in here that aren't selling 3 or 4 a month, you've got to go fucking hard. You've got to go hard. Otherwise, it's not the industry for you. You've got to go hard. But then other people like Batesy and Stewart and different people and Bluesy and all those people, Heathy, all those people have been around for a while that have written good numbers for a long time. It's like, well, how can you run it and have longevity? How can you run it and have a life? How can you run it and still be consistent? That's the challenge. But then there's support amongst the group to do it. Makes sense? It's a bit like The Rock. But if you're 20 and you're thinking work-life balance already, I reckon it's the wrong industry for you. So Stuart, one thing, and I think this is one big thing that I think when we're talking about buyer work, and it's great that we're talking about, Rosie knowing all that stock. I think in a market like this, we need to know everyone's stock.
For sure. We all get caught up in our own listings or whatever. And I've always ran a business on whatever, like creating a relationship with that buyer, getting a real good understanding on where they're at, and then looking at what's on the market, what potentially is off the market, but you could sell, and then cuddle that buyer till till you've sold them a home. Like no one else is offering buyer service because we've all been busy, but there's nothing better than, if you get 30%, 40%, I know in Port, they don't do conjunctions down here. They do a little bit more, but, working that buyer, because that's in 5 or 10 years time, that buyer becomes a seller and they're only going to remember you based upon the service you provided. So, I've always based my business that way.
And I reckon it happens quicker than that. Because you think when someone's selling, all right, someone's sold, and they go to dinner for the next 4 to 6 weeks with their friends. What are they talking?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Talking real estate. Yeah? They're talking real estate. Anyone selling's talking real estate. Every function. How's your Sally house going? How's it going? Oh, you sold. Congratulations. All right. That conversation then sparks up any one of their friends thinking about selling.
Yeah.
You've done that buyer work. They're not recommending the idiot they just bought off. Because how many times in a negotiation something goes a little bit wrong with a buyer? They're going, oh, look, we end up buying off, mate. Oh, fuck. Who got that bloke, the red sign? Like, but mate, you need to go and see Stu because I didn't buy off him, but I'll tell you what, mate, Jizzy really looked after me. That's where the referral happens in that hot spot.
Yeah.
That's why when they exchange, I still reckon we need to do more for them on that exchange because that's when it's hot. We want to do 6 weeks later. It's done. It's over. It's finished. They've moved on. They're moving on. They're renovating. Like they're out of there. When they exchange, that's the hot period where everyone's talking to them about it, where all the emotion is, all the excitement is. That's where I reckon the referrals are.
Well, there was a lady at ARIC that I've just come from. Her name's Helen Yan. She's Chinese, works in the Melbourne market. She's done 100 deals last year. She wrote $4 million or something. And someone asked her a question, said, how do you prospect? She said, I don't prospect. I work with the buyers. She actually, when they come to town, she's introduced to them. She gets them in the car. She shows them where the best schools are, shows them everything about the community and just works with those buyers. And then they start to talk and that's how she gets her business.
And she only done it for 10 years.
Yeah.
She works.
I reckon there's a balancing act. Imagine you do your patch and you do that.
Yeah. There's nothing like old school real estate was, getting the buyer in the car and getting a relationship, and that gave you a great understanding of really what they're looking for as well. And I think we don't value that enough. It's hard to get them in the car though. They think you're a weirdo now, but it's unique for them because they're just not used to it. Like,
but where that can look like now is completely different. That can be coffee now with your iPad.
Yeah, that's right.
And cool, mate. You know what? You're looking North Haven. You know what? Like what? Look, I've worked in this industry for this area for 20 years. Let's grab the iPad, have a coffee, and let's just go through all everyone else's listings. Oh, I know that one, this, that, Oh, have you been through the solds? Let's go through the solds. But oh, yeah, I know about that. Oh, that did look cheap, but let me tell you, this, that about doesn't necessarily need to be too. Like you also got to look at your time. It doesn't need to be 2 hours in your car. Because back then you could do conjunctions, EAC, and all sorts of different things. They were a little bit different. All right, the power these days is with the lister, but a coffee and an iPad, done. I mean, most people do research like that anyway now, don't they? Do it with them. Cool. All right. Zelly, hello. You're probably mute now. Can we unmute Zell? You over there with the leader? Can the leader? Can we go and save Zelly? She's smiling. She got a photo with Adrian Bowe, everyone. She was pretty chuffed. I won't do everyone, but we'll just hear from one person that was at ARIC. Zell, what was the biggest thing you got out of it?
There were so many. I just can't pick on one thing, but Well, probably the thing that stood out most was the lady who sold 2.75 mils worth of gross closed commission. And my takeout from her was, and I know this is a fact, it's all about the client. It's what they want and how to nurture them. And she was just a natural. She was everyone's mum. And how could you not fall in love with her and want to buy from her? She was just so natural, and she was just the epitome of where you'd go. No, I think she was probably my favorite for that. But I love Con too. And there were so many. And Helen, I thought she was brilliant because she did everything opposite to what we do. So it was really good. I enjoyed that.
Awesome. So like, I mean, what I got from, I was in ARIC for 20 minutes. Talk about that in a sec. But anyway, it's all about network. But one of the biggest things I got out of it is at the end of the day, nearly every one of those people on stage, I can go and watch their YouTube video, or I can go get a podcast. It's all there. Like really, ARIC, and like Ness summed it up, and it's true. ARIC is there. It's a piss up. Like it is a piss up because all that you can go there, and it was nice for the team. We had nice Northern Rivers, and it was their time to have a bit of thing. But really, like if any of you are driving up for training, like you're nearly crazy. It's 3 days out of your life. Every bit of that training now is on YouTube or podcast. Every bit of it.
Or it's virtual.
Or virtual now as well. So it's all there. It's all there. Like, and I mean, it is good to go up there once. For me, I don't see my Sydney mates anymore. I go up there literally to network, like hang out, see people I haven't seen for ages. But like I asked this morning on the 8 o'clock session, like who's actually spent time on YouTube? Like Jake Liver, he'll know. He used to come home. When he came home, I'm not on Netflix. I'm on YouTube, like watching all different sort of stuff. Last night I was watching about interest rates and what could possibly happen to the economy. What are you doing to learn more or know more? Like that's where it's at. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about growth. And that's what I want all you guys to be excited about. We've done so much freaking training. And when we look at our competitors, and this is what this is what I wanted to narrow down today. It's not going to be great for people who are online. But what I really want to work on is our competitive advantage and what we're talking to people. All right. So we've got our overarching brand. All right. This is what I wanted to work on today. Our overarching brand, which is Elders Lifestyle Group, and then the power of the group. Then I really want to then narrow it down. I'll be working, Shannon starting in marketing, narrowing that. Then we've got region. All right. So then we now got Northern Rivers. We've got Macleay. We've got Mid-North Coast. All right. We've got Camden Haven, Kempsey and sort of Wallhope sit on their own. They're quite parochial type crowds. Kempsey can fit in with the Clay, but Wallhope and Port are probably on their own. But you've got these different regions, and then that's another competitive advantage when we're there. All right. And then, like I know Dave Plews, when he was at First National, it was very hard for him to build a brand. I'm not scared of that. And from here, you guys really need to build your own brand. The biggest competitor that was in the room up there on all McGrath Port were there. That's not my biggest competitor. Owning a business, my biggest competitor there was At Realty and all those other bullshit new brands that are coming on, which is basically just a version of Remax that'll start calling every single one of you guys to try and get you to go and work for them. Like that's our competitor. So I know that I have to have my competitive advantage. So when you're in a listing presentation, I really think we need to be able to narrow and have that power to actually talk about the group, then talk about our region, right? And then talk about you, right? And then in that, you need to use those things to counteract your competitor. Yeah? Makes sense? So we'll do that session last because I really want you guys to do it. Then we can send it to the group and we'll break it up. So the next thing I want to talk about is data. All right. So we'll do that at the end. We're going to look at that. Who actually reckons they do a pretty good job in a listing presentation, actually talking about the power of group, then talking about the region, then talking about themselves?
I say yes and no. It depends on the client I'm dealing with at the time. Sometimes I can get that out, sometimes I can't. So I'll say yes or no. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, sometimes they're interested. And sometimes they might have you sold for them 10 times. They don't care that there's a bigger group.
I, as a person, I've got a schedule in my head that I want to relay to them, and sometimes I have to say, hang on, they don't care a shit about what you're trying to say. It's more like a conversation. So it depends on the individual I'm dealing with, but sometimes yes, sometimes no.
When I'm telling a story, depending where I'm at, which whoever's office I was in, I'm pitching, and depending on what age barrier or what experience level or who you are or what your team is, I'm thinking about how to pitch that tent against my competitor. E.g. like a Hem, amazing brand, amazing for one office, absolutely brilliant. One office, one office, one office. I remember when I worked for one office. Yeah. Now that I work in a group, what I didn't realize is all this, and then that, and then that, and then that. We can go through that later. We've really got to pitch inside their head, and you start using the power of the group. Cool. The next thing I want to talk about is data. All right. And this is the real thing. And we've got to work with Wendy has done an amazing job. I don't even understand half the stuff she's done, but she's an amazing job working through our database. But one thing for the group, we really need, like, data is something that people are paying a lot of money for and something that we've got. And I don't know if we'll always be able to get. All right. So I know a lot of people push off patch marking and all that sort of stuff, but I don't really care. I think that data, the fact that you got the ability to get a patch, the fact that you're able to get email addresses, the fact that you're going to be able to get that data, it is going to be worth so much. Because an agent in 10 years' time, I don't think we'll be able to get that data. Or even if they get it, they mightn't be able to use it because they won't have a relationship with that person. You've got the opportunity now in the next couple of years to get that opportunity and get that data. So I think we really need to get back to patches. We really need to get out, depending where you're at. You know what I mean? Like someone like Stu doesn't need to worry about it. Batesy, it's an advantage because he's got a bigger team. But, you know, and a lot, you know, Plusy, will you do well in that patch? But like for people that are just starting to have the ability to get a patch and get known and grab market share, I think it's essential. Like how clean are our databases, do you reckon? Who's got a database better than 8 out of 10 for clean data? 7? 6. So I think between now and the end of the year, if we can really build up what I just spoke about, our competitive advantage amongst all our group and be able to do that, we can work on our listing presentation, we can get back into our patches, and then we have a clean database, we're game over.
Not only that, we're now also as a business employing retail to give you even more data.
Yeah.
At an expensive cost to us, but we're now identifying how much data is in our rate. So now we're now investing as well.
Stuart made a great point. Like the last couple of years, we've been busy, and a lot of people in the room have made good money and all that sort of stuff, and it's been amazing and everything like that. I think people are a bit tired and all that, but I think the COVID chat, the busyness, I think it needs to change. I think everyone needs to do a health check of where they're at internally in their own wellness. You need to make choices for your wellness of where you're at. If you need a holiday, take a holiday. But I reckon that chat's done, and I reckon now's about rebuilding, regrouping, and getting better.
I really think what's happening now is an opportunity. I've got to believe that other agents will get frustrated. That's an opportunity for us to open that door and take advantage of it. So I think it's just an opportunity to basically go forward.
Yep.
It's exciting times.
It's really exciting times. But I think this is what I was going to talk about today. I think I've tried to give everyone a little bit of a cuddle, not to get scared about that market. I went for a walk this morning and started to shit myself. All right. So I think you need to be aware that like some crazy times could happen. All right. But what are you doing? Like that now makes me like, you can feel my energy right now. If anyone can feel the energy in my voice, it's like rip roaring. I was at the leadership team this morning. We've got another session at 1 to 3. I'm going to be ringing you guys. I'm going to be on you. Like that fear is a good thing. If any of you are completely naive of what could happen in the next 6 months, like you're mad. Like, and I'm not saying this like, but I think to cuddle you is not the right thing. So my general view, and I was good to watch last night because I reckon I'm right, is I think shit's about to hit the fan really bad in the next 2 to 3 months. And I reckon we're going to have 6 months of hell. But I reckon the opportunity after that, I don't understand. They're talking depression, yeah? Everyone's talking about a depression. Anyone know what a depression is?
I think 3 months.
That's a recession. Recession's 3 months.
6 months.
I don't know how long it is, but it's basically negative growth for a period of time, yeah? I think, yeah. I thought 3 quarters was a recession. Anyway, let's study it, what it is. All right, but it's negative growth for a period of time, yeah? A recession, I think, is 3 in a row. But we're talking high inflation, right? High inflation, right? 6 to 18 months, there you go. So we're talking a high inflation market, which is the opposite of depression and recession. So you're getting the same theatre talking about a depression and recession, but also talking about superinflation, all right? So my honest belief, and I don't understand why they're going to do it, because it doesn't make sense because they're saying it, is they're going to freak out. We're going to see 3 or 4 interest rate rise. Everyone is going to shit themselves. right? We're going to be in a hard market. No one's going to sell. Doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. They're going to overreact because we're going to hit that depression recession. What do they do when we hit that? What does the government do to interest rates? Lower. And then when you look at the amount of debt in the world to get it going again, they've got to be even more aggressive to get it going again because they've already done it so much. And that's when we could see that super and hyperinflation that we're talking about. So I really think we need to be ready that between October and February next year, we could have a bloodbath. Like that's what, I don't know if it'll happen, but that's what you guys need to be ready for. And that's why I'm so passionate right now today. That's why I said, no, we need this training session today. Hopefully we don't need to get there. COVID, everyone knows the first COVID, I didn't drink for 3 months. I came in, exercised, I wore a suit nearly every day. All right, I overreacted to protect myself for what could have happened. Now, in the end, it was good. But if you guys aren't getting ready for that, if you're not working your asses off, like either take a break, have a holiday, but get set for these 6 months. And the exciting thing is your team members, people that are single line, like selling principles and all, they're not doing this training, they're not doing this coaching. And how many people like Tony Decker, for example, as if he wants to go through another hard market, as if Koshy wants to go through another hard market. Half your competitors are nearly done. They've only just jumped back on this bandwagon because it's been so much fun. Find me a good 25-year-old in any other business or a 30-year-old, even a 35-year-old in a good other business. There's not many. They're here. This is the exciting part. Run hard. Make sense? But get ready. Who's ready? Cool. One person's ready. Awesome. No wonder I was shitting myself this morning. But that when I talk like that, I don't talk from a negative point. That gets me excited to sharpen the sword to get ready. And then I'm going, what expenses am I doing? What am I doing there? Do I really need to do that now? If I'm not going to build that now, do I need to spend that money on there? What am I doing with my hotel? Why am I dreaming over here when I haven't fucking nailed this? Like they're the chats I'm having in my head. But are you having those chats? Because if I'm cuddling you and going, oh, it's all right. Well, let's not worry about the market. Let's keep it. Then that's not right either. Not to go home and freak out, but like, make sure you got a bit of money in the bank. Make sure you paid your fucking tax. Get ready. Be organized. That's all I'm saying. Because you're right. We've done that much training over 2 years. I don't think we realize we're probably overtrained out. Let's start implementing it. Let's start sharpening the sword and going for it.
With your vendors, they're fairly intelligent people. They know what's going on. It's just a matter of having that difficult conversations with them to get the price right. They know. They're aware of what's going on.
Yeah, but let's work on our timing.
Yeah.
Our listing is not a time for doom and gloom. Let's go through that. It's a good conversation. And I think this is where I try to keep you up, because what I'm worried about is when you're in the lounge room, you get down. Would everyone agree that today is the best time to sell than what the future looks like for the next 2 years? Would everyone agree on that? So you need to be fucking pumped in the lounge room, because now is the best time in the world, in the history of the world, is what he said. Now is the best time, today, right now. Not in a month, not in 3 months, not in 6 months. I reckon in 2 years they'll be right, 3 years they'll be right, but not right now. Everyone agree? Anyone disagree? Let's have it out if anyone disagrees. So you've got to be pumped in that listing presentation. Excited, this is a good time, bam. And also that 5 to 10% that we're off, that's only off the bullshit off. That's not off the fucking real top. That's just off that crazy, when people just went psycho, when people were bidding crazily in Sydney and all that sort of stuff. We've just leveled out. It's still a good market, mate. Anyone that follows the market in Sydney, you're seeing 4.5, 5 million, 5.5, like you're still seeing some great sales. It's just off that crazy top of the edge, It's still a great market to be selling in. I'm thinking about selling a couple of my things right now, and I'm not worried that I won't get a good result. Maybe could I got a little bit more? Yeah, but still better than a year ago. Yeah. Would everyone agree today is better than a year ago? Yeah. So what are you fucking worried about? Had 12 years worth of growth and you're worried about that? That's what we need to be saying to our vendor. Or what happens if you get that? Who wouldn't tell their prized loved one at the moment that now, like that they should sell now or hold for 3 to 5 years? That's why this negativity, that's why I try and boost you guys, because in the lounge room, you still got to have that enthusiasm. But then when the next part comes in, is that then that greed that every owner gets, or you then need to manage it. Make sense? Now for your buyers on the flip side, different story. And I mean this with all my, now's an opportunity. I mean, I just bought a house. Now's an opportunity. I bought it. The vendor overquoted, wanted to overquote it, and I bought it. I reckon I bought it well. Time will tell. So there's going to be now opportunities for buyers. But what you need to do, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you need to be ready. Have you got your finance ready? You need to come along to auctions. Like your auction should have more people there because you need to be there. My vendor was very motivated. Now this is where the opportunity is. What are most buyers at the moment? Two things, nervous. But after the last 2 years, if they haven't bought, they're fucking tired. So what's your job now with buyer work to actually get your buyers excited again? Hey, Bob and Mary, I know you missed out on that place 6 months ago, but I reckon now you're back in the market. Let's get back out there looking. So your buyer pool is still big. Like I was talking to Ivan about this yesterday. And anyone that's been in the industry long enough will know that there's weeks you don't meet a buyer. Don't meet a buyer. Don't. We're still meeting buyers, yeah? And how many buyers have we got in our database that just need to be ignited? Because they've given up. They're sick of missing out. Yeah. So some really good dialogue around the buyer. All right. So if I was talking to Ducky, first time buyer, and let's be a little bit negative in the market. How are you feeling about the market at the moment? Okay. So what are you financed up to? 600,000. Okay, cool. Mate, if the market jumped to 650 or 700, how would that leave you? Yeah, okay, cool. All right. So mate, I reckon you could be right. I reckon there could be a small dip in the market. But mate, in 10 years' time, where do you reckon the market will be? Okay. So what I'd say, my sister, my friend, my cousin, whoever it was, is you can't afford the opportunity of missing out. Now, I thought 2 years ago the market was going to drop and it didn't. Now, when we're talking interest rates, we're talking inflation. Inflation means the market's good. All right, we haven't even seen migration come back into the country. So I'm not saying it will happen, but what happens if it does? So you can't afford not to get into the market. Because Andrew, if you buy for 600 and a year later it's only, let's say it's worth 570, does it really affect you? If it goes to 650, it affects you a lot, doesn't it? So I reckon that thing you're buying for 6 now, you probably would have to pay 620 or 630 a couple of months ago. So mate, you're right. It might go to 570, but what happens if you get it wrong, mate? Now, I would generally have that conversation with a loved one. Because if you got the balls to tell a loved one to stay out of the market and then guarantee them if it goes up, would any of you take that guarantee? Because there's a risk, yeah? So why aren't we not talking to people like that? Make sense? See where the energy's different? So it's not about promises, it's about energy management. Right? And that's the next thing. So let's do that now. Energy management. All right, so grab a bit of paper. Energy management from 1 to 10, where are we at managing our own personal energy? Alida, you're at Eric. Everyone was on stage. What do you reckon their energy was at?
10 out of 10.
It's an energy game. Every person who was up on stage has got bigger energy than anyone in their office. They're not better. They're not smarter. They probably don't even have as much experience a lot of the time. Some do, some don't. It's a fucking energy game. Are you outworking your competition? And I don't mean hours. I mean input, like focus work. Because as salespeople, we waste a lot of our day, yeah? All right, so all right, 1 from 10. All right. So this side of the room can be one negative thing that they do around their energy, and you guys, one positive thing you can do about your energy. What's one negative thing you might do, Tash, that affects your energy?
You're caring too much about other people's opinions.
Yeah, that can, yeah, massive, that gets me, yeah.
Worrying, yeah, just worrying about what other agents.
So in your head, energy, basic.
Self-talk.
Self-talk, so we're not even talking health yet, we're just talking mental stuff, yeah?
School, so like missing gym session or something like
Not
that.
going to training? Yep, out.
Oh, have a glass of wine or.
Right, alcohol, yeah.
I'm probably just take my own head as well.
In your own head, yep. Brendan,
Yeah, like diet too, like
Livy,
stay up too late.
yeah, sleep, yeah, sleep's huge, yeah,
Not plenty today.
yeah. Self-talk, wow, self-talk's huge, eh? Crazy, hey. All right, Ducky, good thing you do. Exercise, legs, I mean biceps, arms. Same sleep schedule, yeah.
The podcast in the morning, just every morning, just world events.
Getting pumped, yep.
Rewards bigger meaning.
Yep, bigger meaning, like a strong why, yep.
Big and big as well.
Admitting, yep, yep. Charles,
Planning the day.
planning the day, yep. What do you reckon? Yep,
Yeah, routine, like getting up early and getting out.
Yeah.
In nature.
Yeah.
Start the day.
cold's a good one, isn't it? Now that I'm living in a caravan. Didn't want to get out of it this morning.
Yeah, jumping in the ocean. It's
Yeah.
cold.
I don't enjoy every moment.
We love having you here, mate. We love having you here. Everyone met Heath?
Fill your cup with other stuff.
Do you come with other stuff?
Oh,
Cool. All right, I won't go around the room to you guys. But who would say that we all know how to manage our own energy? Like who here doesn't really know manage our own energy? It's surprising some people that aren't that great with food. I've been, other than really understanding food, but generally we know, but we don't. You know, I just had a meeting with someone then, and I just went through plus and minuses. You know, and this is a really good one. Is it in there? What do we got? And I just went work, personal, health, so in their work, personal, and their relationships and their health, plus and minus activity they're doing in each of those. Like what are they doing for the advantage and what are they doing in the negative? You know, that person was spiritual. That's spiritual down there. That's probably a bit too deep for a bunch of salespeople. But what were they doing in their plus and minus? And then I said, you know what happens? The easier thing when we're all going shit is to blame our work. Yeah, generally we go back and blame our work. Our work's too much, this and that. But when you really look at it, you go back, there's one person that's at the beginning of all of those things. It's you. So what are you doing plus and minus around your energy in all those things? So that'd be a really good homework. If you guys want to write that down, I think it'd be a really good homework thing. And Jake, if you can ask them and go through your work, your personal relationship, and your own health, and probably down there after what you guys said, like a wellness mindset, like are you breathing? And for homework, and show Jake, all of you and all of you guys are online, plus and minus, what are you doing? Like, let's be responsible for our own behavior, right? I went away on holiday. Before I went away on holidays, 8 weeks without drinking, gone away on holidays, and my diet is nowhere near as good. I've got nowhere near as much energy. I haven't trained enough. Like, I'm aware of it, but own it. All the excuses under the world. But also being gentle. Like, I know I'm going to New Zealand this week, so it's like, okay, cool. Like, you know, it's also being gentle around your plus minuses, but know where you're at. Don't fucking lie to yourself. Know where you're at. Accept it and either make a change or be comfortable with it for a period of time. Because to me, that's what true balance is. Make sense? Cool. So exercise. So just write a plus and a minus on what you do. All the pluses that you do and the minuses. Cool. All right. So let's go back to database and our data. Brendan, you go pretty good with your data. What's it meant to your business? So just come up. Brendan Stead, welcome him up on stage. So 1 second, appraisals, generally, Jake, most appraisals in the business generally done by what? Generally, and why do you reckon you get more appraisals? And they're not really generated just by people calling in, are they?
No, it's just
How are you generating those appraisals?
price updates pretty much. So it's been now 18 months already.
18 months, yep.
Yeah. So even on the way here, I just had a phone call from someone that said, "Oh, you've been sending me updates come out, look at my place in Owen Street on Friday. So it's like it's just that. It just takes consistency, I think. And then it's your reasons to call, and then you're prompting and making it easy so you're front of mind. And then
Who's had a text off a semi-friend? You know they've texted, you've got busy and you haven't texted them back. But you haven't texted them back. It sits on your mind, eh? You know they've texted and you haven't texted them back. All right? Who's been texted by a salesperson chasing them and hasn't texted them back or called them back? It sits on your mind, yeah? If you see him at Coles or Woolies, you still go. So all of those times you put a bit of data to them, it doesn't go unnoticed to a lot of them. They know you're there. Like that person's just said, we think we're not getting anything for it, so we stop. But it compounds. Does that make sense? It doesn't just go to nowhere. Just because you're not getting text back. Hey, I just want to let you know that sold in your street. Just I want to let you know that just listed in your street. Hey, price update, price update. DL, they're seeing you.
even voicemails, people listen to them.
Boy, yeah.
Not necessarily ring you back, but they'll listen.
They listen, yeah. Even the buyers you call back that don't ring you back, they know you rung them to find out if they like the property. They just don't want to ring you back because they probably don't like the property. And would you? Oh, sorry, man, I'm not interested. What for? But they know you've done your job. Cool. Yeah. So price updates are really working. Yep.
Yeah. And it is letterbox. Like I went through appraisal the other day and he showed me like a lift stack of drops. So why he was keeping them for, I got no idea, but it was just like, it's working. It took 10 to get in there, but you know, it was anyway.
So consistency, yeah?
Yeah, it is exactly. And then the data, or Lee talks about it warming up the data. So then it's not so much cold data.
Yeah. And who would rather ring a buyer that they've met 3 times or ring a number 1 Smith Street where you've never met them? And this data is going to be so essential because I reckon it'll be blocked in years to come.
We'll create a reason to call them. I was talking to Matt yesterday about the drop. So I used to do the price drive in a street, and then I've been in your street, and then I'd door knock the streets that didn't call, and I'd tell them you got the letter. So you got a reason to door knocking or cold calling.
Have a reason.
Create a reason to do it, not just ring up and see if they want appraisal. Like they don't even know who you are, they receive nothing from you. If you create a reason.
And the reasons are more efficient because like no one, like one of our team members used to go and meet Sally and spend an hour with Sally, but Sally's never selling. Sally just said she's going out in a box. Hi, Sally, I'm here just to let you know. I've got to go. Hey, Alison, I'm here just to let you know that sold. Hey, I'm just to let you know that just listed. It's just a reason. And the reason allows you not to, you don't need a friend. They don't need a friend. They need that. That's the value, yeah? Cool. All right, well done. Cool. Who's using price updates? Is anyone else getting good benefit out of price updates? Cool. All right, it'd be interesting to see because I think some have been around longer than others. So it'd be really interesting to see. And when you're doing the Northern Rivers Roadshow, let's just see how we're going with price updates and see where we're going. Cool. All right. So next bit of homework. Database plan. By not this Friday, next Friday, I want you to email Jake your database plan. What is your database plan? I probably spoke to Stewie. Janet. Although he'd probably say I don't prospect. He'd probably say he doesn't prospect. Surfs, coffee shops. If anyone's walked around with Stuart, he stops and talks. But he's allowed that opportunity to happen. But why do they stop and talk to him? But why do some people stop and talk to some people? Like he's a nice guy, yeah. But he also goes above and beyond. He also knows. Very impressed. Something I found out on Heath the other week. Like we can all make, jokies about Heath, and I'm the first one to do it. But Heath actually cleaned the owner's pool. That gets noticed. I noticed that. The 1%ers. That's why he gets invited back in, right? People notice that type of stuff. He's probably full of shit, not believe it. Whatever, I was impressed. It's like, there was no one there. Doesn't matter. That attitude doesn't just happen there. And that, what did I talk about this morning on the 8 o'clock? Anyone remember? Yeah. But guess what? The car was there, good chance one of the neighbours saw it. But that attitude means he's the one that actually does stop up and pick up that bit of paper. Because that attitude is the someone that does something when no one's watching. And that's when you win. Big lesson. All right, so what might be in a database? What do you reckon, Logan? What might be in a database plan?
Quarterly or 6 monthly follow-up.
Cool, let's write it down. Bluesy, what else might be?
It might be just having a routine every week, just to basically go through 20.
So just, I'll relay to you guys just in case you can't hear. So a routine of how we actually update that.
Just clean them up every.
A routine of cleaning data, yeah. Like 300 good bits of data is better than 3,000 worth of crap. An email address has to be paramount and the correct phone number. You know what I mean? Cool. What else? Batey.
Set KPIs about adding to your database as well,
Yep.
each month or each week.
Yep. What else?
You gotta put a note in the database, put a task.
Put a note and a follow-up date in a database. Essential. One good question in that, if you quit tomorrow, could someone run your database? Or only you know what's going on? Because if it's ready for someone else, then it's ready. If only you know how it works, then it doesn't work. Make sense? Because I should be able to turn up tomorrow and go, cool, I've got these 10 calls now, I've got these people to follow up. Oh, here's my MAs, here's my hot buyers, and I should just be able to sit in your seat and carry on. Slater?
Big one, yeah, big one for me is adding people to it, like setting a challenge for yourself.
Cool. Clifton, how long have you been looking after the page?
Year and a half.
How many people do you know?
I've got 400 contacts in there.
How many-
1,500.
How many email addresses you
Emails, probably 200.
got? How consistent have you been with that?
Over the last 12 months, I'm over the system, but to keep that the last.
Yeah, yeah, cool. All right, mate. And what do you reckon the difference to your numbers would be if you'd stayed the same consistency as you was your first 6 months?
I would have almost 50% of people.
Yeah, and how many extra sales do you reckon you'd be doing a month?
I'd probably be able to have 2 or 3 extra sales in a month.
Yeah, cool. And those 2 extra sales, guess what that week was?
So
At least another 2, at least another 1. Yeah. See how it compounds? Your behavior now is what compounds later. But like Dan's story is the same as everyone's here. You know? Or on the flip side, you see consistency from Brendan, and that's why he's getting those. Yeah. And that freak is there. So Brendan's business, you look at Brendan's business, he either has to turn it up to do more. Like he's pretty consistent now with his numbers, which is fantastic, amazing. Doesn't need to change if he doesn't want to. But if Brendan does want to change, he's either got to up his up what he's currently doing or get more help. True. See how you can just see a business of where it's at, build the consistency, and then what are you going to do? You happy with it? Or if not, dial it up. Either he dial it up or get more help. It's so simple. But we want to go and look for more reasons. Cool. We got our data. So everyone comfortable with doing their database plan?
Yeah.
And I think that was the only talk I wanted to see, and it wasn't great, but Core Logic, Dirk Miller. So just a bit of an update. We've got Rita going. We've got Rita going, we've got Agent Box going. And I'm talking to Dirk about getting, so everyone that saw Con at ARIC, so they've been going amazing. They've got a Core Logic product. They've trialed it there. I think we're going to be the second business for them to trial it with, which will be really exciting. So we're pushing that. I want to get some training on how we get Rita, Agent Box, our database of clients, our property management to all talk to each other, and then look at our email thing. From a group sense, and then this is the next topic, marketing. All right. So from a marketing point of view, when Shannon starts, you know those KPIs that you know about how I talked about the unique selling. So Elders Lifestyle Group, regional, individual office I missed out, and then you. So those 4. I'm going to be developing a marketing plan with Shannon on each one of those. All right. But what I got the shits about is I need support. All right. I really need support from you guys on that. If we're going to have the power of this group that we're talking about, land owners, I'm not seeing any owners. I haven't seen one post. I don't know if they're out there and I've missed them, but I haven't seen any owners. I'm so excited to listen with Brendan Stead. Please have a look at my property.
We've had
Maybe that's what I put it. Maybe I've missed. But imagine if 20% of our owners said, so excited to list with Alison, please have a look at my property and send it to a friend. That's not us doing it with an elder sign. That's from them. Please, guys, jump on board. It will change the fucking business. You want referrals? That's their referrals. They're sending it to them on that day. We've been talking about it now for 6 months. I'll be talking to Tash and Jake whether we take over that. But I really think if you have a relationship, like how many of your vendors, realistic, out of 10, would it be at least 8 vendors that are on Facebook or Instagram? At least 8 out of 10. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Who's got a grandparent here on Facebook? Yeah. They're there. They're there. You know what I mean? I think, you know, my mum's 70 something. She's on Facebook every day. I'd get better to get her on Facebook Messenger on there than I reckon if I called the home phone. They're on it. Makes, you know what I mean? Mum and dad know more about my listings just from being on thing than I do. How about that listing? Blah, blah, blah. Like they see it. People see it. But if it comes from the client, so much more powerful than from us. Who's on board with that, please? Cool. Please. And this, we're not in marketing, we've been a little bit underutilized, but that Live Love Local campaign, when you guys start to see it, because like we're doing TV, we're doing buses, we're doing radio, like that's not cheap, but the real power is when you guys get behind it. And then I'm going to get more excited to spend more money. But if I go and blow, you know, $20,000 on TV advertising and I don't see it shared, I don't see it followed, it's like, well, why am I doing it? Like, you know what I mean? If I can't get my team to back it, like, why would I do it? I'm putting a gun to your head, but it just makes sense, yeah? Hem, like that's, I'm using import, competitor, 4 great agents, amazing. But look at this, 1 shared post, the impact it has on the mid-north coast compared to our competitor, it's 10 to 1. Agreed? Everyone agree that if Greg lists more house, it help you? Logan sells more properties, helps them. That's the power. And I think if you look at McGrath, when McGrath went well, it's the power of momentum. And that's what I really want to build within the group, the power of momentum. Southwest Rocks is doing better, Kempsey will do better. Kempsey doing better, Port will do better. Port doing better, Warhope will do better. Not Camden, it will all in. We do better, Northern Rivers will do better. You know what I mean? Let's start really working together as a group. Cool. All right. Before we do these things, I'll let Northern Rivers go because we can send it through. I actually say, Rhodes and Harry, if you can do the competitive advantage that Evans Head has, of Alita and Zell, if you guys can work on the competitive, just what Lismore's got and what Casino's got, and then we'll organise a Zoom for all you guys to catch up together and what's the competitive advantage Northern Rivers has got. All right. I'll get Jake to manage that and I'll let you guys off. Has anyone got it? Because whatever you're going through, someone else will go through. Has anyone got something going on that would be a good case story to go through in the business challenge? Mindset was something you all had, yeah? Cool. Let's cut the noise as a group. We've got some amazing people in this business, some amazing people that really care about each other. Let's stop giving a fuck what McGrath, like, let's watch them, but for what they're doing good, the copy, not the crap. Like, let's just drop it. Just make a decision to drop it. Who cares? You want to be like, I was really struggling with something, and I'm going to say this not in an ego sense way, but take it for what it is Kieran Bresnahan owns McGrath St. George. Really strong business, amazing. And they've been under fire. So they lost a couple people working in the team. They've also kept a couple of people. And I was having a whinge to Kieran about different things and people leaving and this happening and that and this and that. He said, mate, if you want to build something, big, all right, and you don't think people are going to come at you, you're an idiot. If we don't think we want to build something great and we don't want to spend time, like, we're going to have amazing culture, we're going to have all this, and we think they're not going to pick at it. Our next staff member fucking ringing nests on the weekend, trying to cause shit. But if we think they want it, like, let know. They're not coming in. Make sense? It's our decision. Block it. But if we think we're not going to get better, we think we're not going to grow, we think we're not going to do things better, you think they're not going to, if you think they're not going to throw things at us, then we're the idiot. Or you know those people in our lives that you think, oh, why and how, and they don't change and they keep coming. I used to have it with anyway, I won't mention the name. And Jeff Jow used to say, mate, you're the idiot. You're coming to me every week thinking that person will change. They are who they are. You're the idiot. Make sense? We're the common denominator. We're the problem, not them. We get to choose what we want to listen to and not listen to. I think I'm so proud of this business and all around, and some of the culture changes we've had in all the rivers or within the business, or watching the way Camp and Heaven work together, the energy now that we've got in the port team, like Warhope, the boys work like all around, you know, Southwest Shops, the boys working together now. Like if you look at the synergies amongst the group, insane. Something to be proud of. Jay will tell you what most sales businesses like. You guys know you can all put an appraisal on the board in any of the offices and none of your team members will touch it. That's unheard of. Well, please, you can trust your last team without going into it, could you?
One or two.
It's one or two. It's one or two. It's still one or two. Could you imagine your own? Trust your own old team?
Yes, I could.
Okay, cool. All right. Bad example.
Anyway,
Yeah, forget that. But what I'm saying is generally that sort of trust inside a sales business, especially when a market turns, is not there. Like you when Coogee was number one in McGrath, what was the energy like, the toxicness?
Yeah, Brendan, come on. What was that?
From 1 to 10, how toxic was it?
Yeah, 9.5.
9.5 out of toxic. This is cool. I'm not saying to big note it, but to enjoy, like, I'm going to rev you guys up because there's half of this shit you aren't doing. So I'm not, but the culture wise and the energy and the attitude and the teamwork and the comradeship is unreal. So enjoy that. Makes sense? So mindset's with you guys. And then for anyone whose mind's not right, please get in contact with me in the next 24 to 48 hours and let's have a plan to get that right. Because that's something we can't control the market. We can't control what you haven't done, but we can control what you do today and we can control what you do tomorrow. Everyone in on that? Everyone in on that? Yeah, cool. And I promise you, if you do that exercise, that'll fix your mindset straight away. Because you go, oh, I feel like shit, but you know what, I'm feeling like shit, so I'm having a couple extra beers. Oh, you know what, like fuck it, I ate a donut. Oh, that, you know what, I'd missed the gym twice this week. Oh, you know what, I'm actually not giving my partner any time when I go home. Like, you're the common denominator, not to get negative, but to own it, and then you can make a difference. Cool. All right, quickly, let's go around the room and then we'll leave you guys to go do that. Dan, what'd you get out of this?
Big thing I got, yeah, just know where you are and pick yourself up on it.
Cool. Hey.
Look at my database more. Always there because less.
And if you manage your database, you don't negotiate, like we haven't even talked about that, you don't negotiate fee. You don't negotiate marketing. I know it's always, I've always hated this and never understood it, but why the people we get on with the best pay the most? Like it's nearly unfair, isn't it? People that pay higher marketing, pay higher fee. The dickhead that's got 6 agents in, we do it for less, we pay for marketing. Like it's crazy the way the world works, but it's the way it is. Work on your relationships. Yep, Phil. Number one thing you got out of this?
For me, it was focus.
Focus,
Yeah.
cool. Jakey? Database. Charles?
For me, my challenge has been, well, it's not a big challenge, but I've just got to get back planning the week, planning the day. So focus.
Yeah, cool. So if you're struggling with accountability, then just check in to say, you know what, ring me today and say, guess what, Dave? I'm going to send you my day every morning by 8:30. I don't look at it. I don't judge it, but it's the text. As soon as I see the text, it's not what's in the text. It's the text that's the power. Make sense? Look forward to your text tomorrow. Please.
Obviously the database, but it's a little bit different. You like YouTube training. So just basic. Yeah.
Anything you want out there, you can go. It's insane. When, you know, like I was like, look, start a fund management business, and I'm like, bang, there's 28 videos on it. Like, name a topic. Stay off those ones, Greg.
What you're saying, just get buyers excited, tell them it's still a great time to buy. Better having doubts and just managing your energy.
I've been in different markets and I've watched people miss markets, like miss. And they're the people, and I always say there's a chance we get motivated to buy. And then if you don't buy in that period, there's always reasons then to not to come back in the market. And you could be that person I meet a decade later that hasn't bought. But yeah, Batesy, you would have met those people?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all have family and friends that haven't got on the, it's just too late.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
I'll wait for the market, I'll wait for the market, I'll wait for the market. And yeah, maybe, but the market just does that. And like we've all financially been through those, but you get through them. Folks.
Energy and basically.
Yep. Ducky.
Break it down, manager.
Manager, yep. Alex.
Database, what's in there.
Yep, cool.
Have like a clear prospecting process.
Cool. So I'll ask the question. Who's got less than 10 years left, they reckon, real estate, selling real estate? Yeah, cool. All right. So if I was any of you guys, that would be my super. That database. Dead set would be my database. I'd be working that fucking hard on creating the best database. People that I've got relationships that I know with the most amazing data. Hey, Dan, I've got this database. Guess what? For the rest of the time, anyone you get from that, guess what? I want X or Y. If you don't think about that being your super, then you're mad. Because that's money forever. Because they're your relationships, your clients. And where we miss, because if we miss a purchase, that's where you see so many databases go wrong. You meet Sally and Tom and they buy their first unit and then you don't communicate with them. But when you miss out is when they sell, then they buy their semi, then they buy their house. They're the relationships you can get. And then their kids go to buy. If you can go on for generations serving that one family. One family is divided by kids and everything, you know what I mean? That's your super. That's where I'd be motivated, not thinking, oh, I'm getting to the end or I'm doing this. I'd be like, no, this is my time that I'm going to have the best data. There's a business down in Sydney that I know, then these people are fighting over a database to get this agent's database. Both we know that person. But it's only worth something if it's well managed and it's looked after. Make sense? Batesy, does that rev you up?
Yeah, it does.
Lucy? And yeah, anyway. Right. We're done. Bobby?
You just got to continually follow up, review and update, ongoing.
And with all the bullshit tech and everything we do, nothing's changed, has it, Clive? Really? Nothing's changed. And what's amazing, we've got all these things that make it easier and we still somehow make it harder. But anyway, and Josh Fegan always talks about it, but that Residex in front of it, like really, it's still what real estate's about, isn't it? Just that Residex in front of you. Brendan, what did you get out today?
That's good. If you've got a big future, like in 10 years, if we do that for the next 10 years, imagine what.
And that's why I pick on Dan, because it's like he's at that point of his career. But if he just kept that focus, he's had at different points, up and down, which we'll all do, everyone, not just, where would you be just so much easier and so much different in your business? That stop-start kills us. And that's why I'm not asking you to work 7 to 7. Just have a good day. Well-planned good day. And then manage your energy. So most days are good. Okay.
I think consistency for me, mostly, and managing my energy so that my consistency is good as well. Oh, sorry, buddy.
And remember, when you're like, energy's a thing, yeah? When you're walking along the street, do people want to talk to you or not? Like, where is your energy at?
I think your energy hits the room before you do.
100%. Smiles?
Yeah, probably definitely the self-checking. So yeah, push that aside a little bit.
Yeah, and then you think of all the people you've ever met in Port, your family have met, done with. Like, how well have they moved into your database? How well do they know that you're taking your career serious? How well are you communicating that? Someone else is.
Own it, and also outside noise is a big thing for me.
And I think it's for all of it. And it's the fucking phones, social media. It's bullshit. Comparison. Jeff Chow's done enough of that training with us. Let's just get off that train. I think Stuart's great point that he said earlier. Like, we're doing good. Be proud of where you're at. And you're where you're at from the decisions you've already made anyway. They're your decisions.
Consistency in data, in the database and impact.
Yep.
Working in the best case scenario, but plan for the worst case as well, to make sure you're prepared to, if shit does hit the fan. You're not
Cool.
stuck on that.
Cool. So Northern Rivers, guys, if you guys can do that little bit of homework and then send it through to Jake, that would be amazing. Just to touch base on what we've discussed. One, in a listing presentation, let's not let the noise of the market show our enthusiasm. When we're there with a listing, let's be really, really up. And then when we're giving the negative feedback, it's not in a negative time, it's just information. You let them relay how they want to treat. You're just providing information. You don't need to bash it, just provide the facts. This many people went through your open house. It's just information, it's just facts. Make sense? I was just giving feedback to someone else, I'll get really upset with me. I'm like, mate, I'm just telling you how you've been behaving. You can get upset, but this is just how it is. Lately, you've been really negative and you've been really flat. Like, there's no point getting upset with me or telling me I'm unfair. It's just the facts. And I wasn't angry, they're just the facts. No, no, mate, they're just the facts. Make sense? Cool. All right, we're going to do these KPI, we're going to do these competitive advantage things. And we'll leave you guys too. So Northern Rivers, see you later. Good luck with the homework. I think we've got Jamie Lee there as well. You can do that for Crescent. Have we got anyone else? If Kempsey's there, Kempsey can do it for Kempsey. And Kempsey can do it for Kempsey. Cool. All right.